Okay. So yesterday we have created this forms application. Means it was a new application. So this one simple email, password, and submit. These kind of things we were doing yesterday, and we will start our work on this particular part. So this is what we have done yesterday. And for this, we were saying that this is a template driven form. Template driven form means it's very basic form. It is not involving any logic here. It is going to work very basic things. What kind of basic things it is going to work on? So let's say this is a form that you are having here. If you want to do some sort of calculation, right? So first thing that comes under is form validation. That comes as form validation. So in template driven form, let's talk about form validation. Validation means validate. Validation means to confirm whether the user is giving the desired input or not. Desired input means, let's say you want user to give a input in a good way, but user is not giving you. So it is possible. That's called form validation. So we will try to add some sort of validations here, right? What we will do, we will try to add some sort of validation. So validation starts from the input boxes, these kind of input boxes. Now here, let me zoom it out. We are expecting that user should enter the email address, right? We are expecting that user should enter a email address. Okay. So here, if I'm writing ABC and password, some random password I will write. If I'm click now, validation starts when you are trying to submit this form, right? Until and unless user is not writing any input, till then it is fine. When user is trying to submit, now this submit requires validation. Now if I clicked on this submit, it took the value, right? It took the value, but was it a genuine email ID? If I'm writing ABC and something like that, can you think that there will be some email ID with simple ABC? It should have a annotation at the rate of some domain name, gmail.com, yahoo.com, rediffmail.com, right? Lot of domains are there, but it is not having. Now that requires a validation. What validation? The first validation that comes here is I have changed the input type of email from email to text. Now this input box is accepting a text value. This input box is accepting a text value. So ABC is a text, right? ABC is a text. So it's taking the value. But what I want is that it should take only the email IDs, right? For that basic thing we need to do that we will change the input type to email. Input type to email. Now if I'm writing ABC and some sort of password I am writing, then if I'm clicking submit button, now it is saying that please include an @ in the email address. That because there can be no email ID with @ symbol, right? All the email ID has @ symbol in that. Now if I'm trying to submit, now saying please enter a part following @ means now you have to add the part after @ symbol also. Here let me write @ABC @HYD. Now it is taking because that type of email ID can come. So this is a validation for this particular input box because this is by default provided and it's coming from HTML as well. That here if you're writing input type as email, so it will take that particular value. Here if I'm changing this password to text, so let's write a email ID here and some sort of password. What is the issue in this particular part now? What is the issue in this form? The issue is password is visible directly and it should not be visible, right? So this is a kind of validation. So we will provide here that input type as password. Input type as password. Now we have fixed the two issues here. The first issue that we have fixed is email ID. It is accepting email IDs and password is coming as password. What is next another validation that you can provide here? Like if you are accepting email ID and password from user, what is the one more thing that you can provide or you can ask your user to have that thing? Placeholder is not a validation actually, right? It's not a validation. It's just a message that you are saying to the user that enter that email address. A reset value. I'm asking about validations, like what kind of validation it can provide you. For that, we should convert as this form is completely a Angular form, but it is having the entire code written in HTML. It is not involving any concept of Angular till now, like ng directive, ng form, nothing it is importing, right? It's importing nothing. So the first thing that we need to do here is we need to change our form from a normal HTML form to a form which is using the concepts of Angular, which is using the concepts of Angular. So yesterday what we have seen that in Angular there are two kind of forms, right? There are two kinds of form. One is template driven and another one is reactive, and the only difference between these form is template driven are very easy and reactives are complex forms. That's it. So let's start building the things now with respect to Angular. So first thing, go to the typescript file and here you need to import something. The first thing that you need to import here is forms module. The first thing that we need to import is forms module. Even let me create it here. Steps of creating an Angular based template driven form. So there are lots of steps, out of which the step 1 will be in the TypeScript file. At first, import the forms module. Import the forms module. And where they are available? Forms module from Angular forms. They are available in Angular forms like this. Second thing, that now you can start using the form. So let me erase out, and there is a heading that is saying template driven form, and here we will create a form tag, but this form tag should have something. So here let me write something. I will write has user form. What I'm keeping here, has user form equals to ng form. Has user form equals to ng form. One more thing that I'm keeping here is ng submit. Ng submit is equals to, it will call a function and function name is on submit. Whenever this form is going to be submitted, what will happen? What we have written, that ng submit, generally you have to write action, right? Remember, in normal form we used to write action equals to what action it is going to perform, but here we are keeping ng submit. It means that you are trying to manage this form using the Angular's submit, but HTML will be having the entire code here. So we will try to write a very basic form. So let's create a label here, label for username, and then we have to have a input. Generally username should be having a type equals to text, and that's it. So we have at first net try to understand everything properly. At first we have created a label for this username. You can map as well, but if you're not mapping, then it's fine. So let's give a placeholder as well, that enter your username. In this way we have created this part. So we are not using the forms module here. Fine. Then that function also you need to declare here on submit. Now that's fine. So it is building the form. Now it's coming in this way. What's the one change that you are noticing here? Are you noticing any change? What is the change? Let's first write the other things as well. So we have created a username section which will accept the username, right? And that's it. We will create one input type. For that, let's give some break tags, and that input type will be as submit. Input type as submit. What I will say is, We will try to work on this particular username section only, this one, right? We will try to work on this particular part as well. I'm writing only username section just to tell you how the validation is actually going to work. For that, we need to add something to which to this input type as username. To this input type as username, I will say one thing, that its name is, there is a name attribute, so its name is username. After that, I will attach one more thing. Now I will attach the ng model. But I will attach here ng model. Why we use ng model? For two-way data binding, right? So here I will say that user dot username. I'm just attaching one value, user dot username. We will find it in TypeScript file. It's not a big deal. One more thing, that it is required. It is required. Required means you cannot submit it empty, right? You cannot submit it empty. After keeping the required as well, I will give one more attribute, and that attribute I will keep something like that. Let's say I will keep has username equals to ng model, right? Username equals to ng model. So I have created something like this. So user is not available, so go to TypeScript and declare something as user. So I will say that user is equals to user name or with a empty value. So user is an object with empty username, right? Let me tell you what I have done. I am saying that user is a object. So I will write like this. Object has multiple values. So I will write here user name. In starting it is empty. So that is it. Here one thing I will keep, that is submitted equals to false. There is a submitted value which I have kept false by default. And in this on submit function, first thing that I will do, this dot submitted equals to true, means user has submitted the form. Just I will print one message to the console that form submitted, and along with this I will print this dot user. I will print the user as well. So if you let refresh, go to console and check if it is throwing any error. So right now there is no error, console is working fine. Let's try to check it. Here, let's say I'm writing one username. Now what we are expecting? We are expecting it to print to console, right? We are expecting this to print to console. So it is saying that form submitted, and this particular form is coming with a object. Now if you just expand this object, it is taking username as Shivu. Very easily we are doing it. So now understand what I have done. To this input box, type as text I have kept, some placeholder value, some name, then ng model. Ng model, you know, two-way data binding, right? Two-way data binding. To which value? User dot username, as user is a object there. So that's why I have written user dot username and required. Now this slash username will be having ng model, means input box will give the value to TypeScript. TypeScript will again give the value back to the HTML. Two-way data binding. And this form is managed by ng form. That's it. This is just a normal value. Here you can write hashtag user hashtag form equals to ng form. You can write it in any way. And these are called template driven forms, right? Or let's say we have to create one more field. Let's say password also I will create. Give me a minute, guys. Sorry for the inconvenience, guys. So let's create a password field as well. So I will create input type as password. Now we need to validate the password as well. Along with this username, we will validate our password as well. So at first, basically, let's create a label for this password. And it's coming in this way. We can give the placeholder value as well. So let's write placeholder, enter your password. Okay, that's fine. Now we will write a username and we will try to write some password and we will just hit the submit button. When we are hitting the submit button, let's go to console and check. So you will be seeing one object is coming, but this object is not coming with the value of password because Angular is not managing it. Data binding is not successful here, right? We should bind our data properly. For that, at first, our component should have a section for password. So this is an object which is having one value as username. I will keep one more value that is password. And in starting, its value is empty. Simple thing, password is empty. Component will be having the same thing that we gave to the username section. Like what? First it will be type it is having, placeholder it is having, we will give it a name as password. Now again you need to use the ng model here, ng model, and ng model, it is working on the value of user dot password. User dot password, this field is required. Now if I am not writing username equals to ng model, I'm not writing this part, I'm just writing ng model equals to user dot password. In component we will print this dot user. So go back, same thing I will write here and just hit the submit button. After hitting the submit button, you will see that it is taking the username and password as well. Password is coming at top because whenever you are printing an object, it prints the object values in a ascending order of alphabetics. So P comes first, so that's why password is coming first, then username U, so use is coming there. That's how you validate the forms in Angular using template driven forms. Just you have to use ng model to validate the input fields. Then how this line is working, this is just to manage our username here, like this ng model is working on this username, it's for that particular part only itself. Okay, it's for that only, it's not a like a very big deal. This particular part is holding only that value. Now that is how you generate these things. And what are the steps? In first type we need to import the forms module. In step 2 generate the we not generate, write the code for a form in component.html file. So this is the code that you need. I'm writing the code directly in the file so that you can access this code. But at first try to write it by yourself. Don't just copy paste the code. Okay. In the next very step, we will write that generate the code for the validation of form in component.ts file. So this is what you need to write here. Okay. So that's how basically template driven form works. Right. So you will be seeing that template driven forms are like HTML forms only, just the data binding is done using the ng model. And I think that same thing I have told you yesterday as well. They are the, we need to import forms module for them and they are just limited functionality, right? In that we are using ng form and ng model directive, right? So yesterday we have seen the entire theory and here we are trying to do it. Now we are going to talk about reactive form. Reactive form. So what we have studied in reactive forms yesterday, that they are the model driven forms which we will be using in complex situation, right? So first let's understand this once. Take a minute pause. If you are missing out something that how some part is working, you can read it out here and then we will talk about reactive forms. Okay, so what we will do is let's generate two components so that we can have the simple code, means we don't have to delete the code. ng generate component temp driven. So I am generating a component as temp driven, right? And we will generate one more component for reactive form. First we need to import them here. Temp driven component, and another one is reactive form component. In temp driven form, I will copy paste the code. So let's cut and paste it here. I'm just writing this particular part in app.file so that we can render with their tag name. So temp driven HTML. So this is template driven form. In the same way, we will write the code for reactive forms as well. Now we will open the reactive form section. Its HTML file, its typescript file. So its tag is app-reactive form. So I will copy that. I'll give it to app component.html, keeping some break tag here. So reactive form works, it's coming. Now we will start designing our reactive form as well. So we are already having the typescript file and the HTML file. So first, same thing, steps of creating a reactive form, or let me take it out. So in the very step one, what you need to do is import reactive form module. Last time what we were importing? Forms module. This time we will import reactive forms module. It will be reactive forms module. So let's go here. We will import it. reactive forms module, and it is coming from same thing, right? Angular forms. Reactive forms module from Angular forms. In the second step, start customizing the HTML code. Create a form. Same thing that we need to do. So go to HTML, and in this at first I will write a heading that reactive forms or reactive form. After that, same thing here also we will do, keeping the form tag. We will try to do the same thing here as well, right? But the things that are going to be different here, this form is going to have something like form group. Now tell me what we used to write using square brackets in Angular. What we used, property binding. Huh? Property binding. Event binding we used to do in small brackets. Let's say click is a event. So how you will write click? You will write click like this. Small brackets are required for event binding. So we used to do property binding. So what property we have kept here? Form group. Why we have kept this form group? We are going to see this particular part. So event bound. What is event bound? Okay. Same thing, then again we will keep a event binding. Event binding will be ng submit. Ng submit. Same thing, it is calling a function as on submit, right? It is calling a function as on submit. It will throw the error. So in typescript file, we will create a function as on submit, right? So we have created a function as on submit. So you'll go there and okay, because we need to import other things as well. Now as this is saying that form group submit these, that now you need to import these things also. So I will write import. You need to import form group. Form group. Form control. Form control. Form or simple validators. Validators. Remember, they are two things, one validator and one validators, and both are different. You need to import validators. From where they will come? They will come from Angular forms only. So let me write this step. Okay, so like this you need to do, and in start step 3 we will customize the form. Okay, now we will write the things as well here. Now in this form, what we are going to do, same thing, like we will going to work on the username section as well. So first we will create a label for username, and second we will create a input type as text. Input type as text. So you can see what is the problem. Can't bind to form group. It should be user form. Now it's fine. So here we have created a, let's run restart the Angular. Whenever you are importing something, generally you required to restart the server. Okay, wait. So our reactive form is coming now. Now what we want is we will try to manage everything using our models here, right? We will manage everything using our models. So first we have created a label for it, then our input type as text. Let's give them a placeholder value. So I'll give the placeholder as enter your username. So here we are entering the username. After giving this placeholder value, you need to give a control here. What we need to give? A particular type of control. Control for this input box, right? We have to give a particular part, right? So I will write form control name. Form control and capital as it's follow camel casing. So I'm writing form control name equals to username. I have written something as form control name as username. So let's check whether it is making some changes. No changes basically, because we have to use this value somewhere. For that, let's keep some break tags and then we will create input type as submit. Now we will try to submit this form. Let's first go to inspect and check the template driven form because we have changed their file. So yes, it's coming fine. Username, password, right? It's coming fine. Now same thing we are going to do to with the reactive forms. So let's write their function. So on submit is already there. Before this on submit, I will create something as user form, and user form equals to new form group, right? New form group. And this form group is having some values. First value that it is having is user name, and username is having new form control. New form control. Now that's why we are writing it here. Form control name, username, because same thing we have declared there. Now this form control is trying to take some value in the starting, and I'll keep a comma and I will write validators. I'll keep a comma here and I will write validators dot required. Validators dot required. Let's understand this thing. We are saying that validators dot required. We will have to manage our forms in such a way. So one more thing that I will declare flag value. So I will write submitted. Submitted equals to false. So by default value of this submitted I have kept as false. And this on submit function, what I'm doing, I'm trying to write this dot submitted. First I will keep this value as true and I will print to the console one thing, that form submitted and it is printing this dot user form dot value. Whatever value the form is having, it will print that. So we are writing something in this way. Now let's say, remember one thing what I am trying to do. Here if I am clicking on submit, my form is getting submit, but it is taking input, empty input it is taking. The reason is you are not writing the means you are not managing the forms. So the form I will say that it is having a form group and which is equals to user form, the user form that we have declared here. Can't bind to form group since it's isn't a known property of form. Why it is throwing error? Form groups we are importing. Right here we have to write. Now if I'm clicking on submit, it is not getting submitted. Or is it getting submitted? For that you need to go to inspect and actually check that it is submitted this much time. Empty object, username. So that is the problem. Now this problem cannot be fixed using template driven forms. That's why we came to reactive form. Now here we need to start writing our logic. So how you will imply those logic? We need to imply a logic in such a way. So let's create a container here, div. Right, I have created a container as div. Now I will use ng if here. For that first we need to import it. So ng if, for using it we need to import in the component as well. Why we use ng if? Yes, why we use ng if? For writing conditions, right? For writing conditions, so simple thing I will write that asterisk ng if. So this is how we write ng if. This ng if is going to work on the condition of user form in user form dot controls, and it is controlling the username as well. After controlling the username dot invalid, I'm saying that if the username is invalid, I will write one more condition, and let's keep this and in the next line, because we are writing two conditions. So I will write first condition is the username is invalid. Second thing I will write username dot controls. In controls I'm talking about username dot touched. Remember something, yesterday we were discussing these things, touched, untouched, touched, untouched, valid, invalid. So these things we are using now. What we are saying, if the username is invalid and touched, means username is touched, means you have came to the input box, clicked on it, typed something, but you are typing the invalid username. So two condition I am writing, that the username is touched and invalid. Username is touched and invalid. For that I will write something here. So let's say I will write username is required. Username is required. This is what I'm trying to say here, that username is required. Let's try to type username. Okay, got wait. After this particular div, let's keep a br tag, because it has to have other logics. So instead of this input type as submit, let's create a button here. So same thing, button I will create, and button will be having the values as, let's say, submit button or submit. Now we will attach the logic here. So to this button, I will say that its type is equals to submit. Buttons type as submit, disabled. Remember, we were writing something disabled. It will be disabled when user user form dot invalid. User form dot. Now what we are actually doing here, so just hold on a bit. So let's save the file. Something is error here. Let me first remove this div. So you will see that right now this submit button is disabled. Means you cannot click on this because username is not getting validated. Now for using these kind of things, you have to use reactive form. Now it is reacting to your action, that until unless you are writing a good username, I'll not let you submit the username. So once you started writing it, something inside this, now you have written something, so button is active. So you can click on submit and username is going to printed in the console. Right? It's printing, but if nothing is there in the input box, button is again disabled because you are writing the conditions there. Right? You are writing the condition there. Let's create one more condition, and the condition will be looking something like this. After this button, let's create a paragraph text. In this paragraph text, what I will say is, I will say that it is having condition. So I will write ng if, and this if statement is going to work on something called submitted. Remember, submitted value we have created there, here, false. Now we are saying that submitted, if this is returning false, if this particular part is returning false, so what we are going to say, let's say here I will write form submitted. After form submitted, I will write username colon double forward this string interpolation, user form dot value dot username. Means after submitting the things, it should print it in a paragraph as well, right? So let's refresh it once. So removed. Now what if I'm writing here, let's say Shivam. After that, if I hit a submit button, form submitted, username is Shivam, and that's it. Now this is a reactive form. What is this? This is a reactive form. Let's quickly, we will write the some sort of designing to both the forms. So for the template driven CSS, I will write form is having a padding of around 20 pixel. It is having a border of 1 pixel solid black. Its width is going to be fit content and its height is going to be fit content as well. So you will see that it's coming in this way, right? Simple design to the form. This is template driven form and this is reactive form. And same sort of designing I will write to the reactive forms, that it is having a padding of around 20 pixel and it is having a border of 1 pixel solid black and height width with content. That's it. So after username, let's give some sort of breaks here. Now this is like part is done. Okay, so this is your template driven forms and these are your reactive forms. Understood? If you want to do high kind of thing, complex things, here the submit button you can directly click. If fields are empty, then also you can click this and data will go to console, empty data. But here you can't click. Let's complex form. It is reacting now. It is reacting in a way that you cannot submit the empty form, right? You cannot submit the empty form. So that's how forms in Angular works. So let's quickly, we'll upload the code to GitHub. Our course will end on 15th of February. 15th of Feb is going to be our last working day. I stopped talking. Meanwhile, in the last time, like we are not having test from a longer time. In test, generally, I used to give you interview questions only. And we are not covering unit testing in this course. That is going to be in your backend development. Either on this Saturday, we are like in this week, we are going to have a test in which all the interview questions that are asked to my students or something like that, real questions, we'll try to discuss in the class. Okay, means it will come in the form of a test, then we will discuss the questions as well. As we have completed lot of things in Angular now, so we will be starting working on a end-to-end project, and in that project we are going to use all the Angular concepts that we have compiled till now. Okay, Yes, 15th of Feb at any cost. It is going to be your last working day for Angular classes. As of now, like I'll search some good Generally, I don't believe in developing clone projects that are already available in market. That Flipkart clone, Amazon clone, thousands of available. So I will search some good project and then we will build that. Okay. Generally, I don't believe in building clone projects. Everyone is building them, right? We'll see some good project. If we are building a clone project as well, we will build a good one. It's not a big deal. So let's keep the code. Multi-page concept is in routing. Next topic. No, notes will not disappear from classroom after 15th Feb, I think. They have some time duration. I don't know the time duration, but it will be available. You can ask the like IT admins for that part. But for how many days they will be available there. But I think notes will be there. How many of you have not completed the weather app till now? See, the trainings around the world are a two-way communication. It is never a one-way communication. One-way communication means only I am coming, teaching, and going. And that's how training doesn't works. It is always a two-way communication. If you are expecting me to put efforts for you to take good content to your table, then you also have to present a good kind of response from your side. If you are not responding, then our particular part is waste, right? So it works in a two-way communication. Like our coding knowledge are getting sharper, right? Again, we are learning something new. Again, we are practicing it. Our speed is getting more faster. What about you? Okay, Gopesh has completed. Okay, Gopesh, let's check it. So this is the application that is done by Gopesh. So let's write here Wow, means directly you are writing it. It's very fantastic, Gopesh. I really loved it. You are showing the city name, sorry, city, state, country, date, time, current temperature, AQI, unhealthy for sensitive groups. No, guys, Aligarh is very healthy. So, highest temperature, wind speed, sunrise, sunset. Next, today's temperature for next hours. Next 5 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it's really fantastic, Kopesh. Like I really loved it. Like the kind of detailing you are putting here. If you require some suggestion that I can put here, this today's weather is looking little dull because of the background color. You can make it bold here. Today's weather. Same is with this next five. Like they are like kind of hidden because of this blue color. So they are not synchronizing with the background image. Rest everything is fine. Let's check for Hyderabad as well. Okay, very good. If night background will be black. Okay, means your background depends on the temperature and the day. Okay, so let's check it for Los Angeles. Background changed. Very good. Then also you need to keep the bold, right? It's really fantastic, Gopesh. I hope you learned a good thing from me and you are implementing it in a good way. Where it will be raining now? Don't know about raining. If we are writing here Shimla, it's too good. Very good. Try something like I did it a very with a very basic design because my focus was on to teach the concept, not the design. Design is all up to you. Gopesh, you can add this project as it is fully working in your resume. I hope this particular project will land you a job. Now we are going to discuss about Angular FAQs, frequently asked questions. So I'll compile the list as well, but from here we will start. What is a component in Angular? I'm not asking answers from your side. I'm just writing some of the question and you can know that how much you know. So what is a component in Angular and how to generate a new component? First question. Second question that we are going to have is what is a directive and what are the different types of directive available in Angular? Third question. These are the very overview questions. Like they are asking overview. I will give you some detailed question as well. Like what is exactly ng model directive? So like that. What are pipes in Angular? What are pipes in Angular? Question comes in this way. What is service and dependency injection? What is service and dependency injection in Angular? Then we got what is routing and navigation. All these topics we will discuss now. Routing is the next topic, right? So what is routing and navigation in Angular? And how to implement it. The next question that we are going to have is, what are the types of form in Angular and how to implement them? What are HTTP requests? This is also next topic, and how to fetch API. This we have already done, right? API fetching we have already done, and HTTP request is the next topic that we are going to discuss. Then the question is, what is security and authentication in Angular? What is security and authentication in Angular? The next question that comes is, what is dynamic component rendering? What is dynamic component rendering? What is AOT? What is AOT? AOT generally ahead of time. Ahead of time. Now, out of which 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 we have done. 5 are like next topic, very small topic. So these are 10 frequently asked questions through Angular. Like if you are going for any Angular interview, there are high chances that one of the question you will find there in detailed way, right? If they are asking something related to pipes, they will ask you what is asynchronous pipe, what is title case pipe, what is date pipe, what is currency pipe, what are the formats of writing the pipes, right? So they will come to you. But these 10 questions I have compiled here, and these 10 questions you are going to see in your interview. Now let's have a discussion over them. Let me first save the file. So this weather app is why Ria at least change the design. You are just changing the background color of what I have built, right? You need to change the design as well. And even though it's not working, I think it is throwing some problem. So yes, there is a error. It's not working, Ria. I'm telling you what is the error so that you can fix it. The error is, it is saying that it was loaded over HTTPS but request insecure. So whenever you are fetching the API, so you are fetching like HTTP colon API.com. Just change this whenever you're writing fetch. Just keep this HTTP to HTTPS. Same, just change the API URL to HTTPS because Netflix, Netlify or Vercel doesn't take HTTP and it will work fine. Okay, this is a very common error and you can fix it. Okay, so theme is like same that I was displaying. Just you just change the background color. And here Hyderabad temperature, wind, pressure, humidity. Okay, like working fine. You can change the design as well, right? Gopesh, is it responsive also? So yes, it is responsive also. Very good. I think you are using Flex and then Flex Rep. Yeah, that's why it's working fine. Okay, so let's have a discussion over these questions, and first let me upload all the questions to you. Okay, so now I have uploaded. You can get these. Drag and drop. Okay, if we got the time, we will see this drag and drop as well. Generally, whenever you are taking a input, let me tell you one thing. So I will use this test project for that. Whenever you are taking a input, you can use that input type as file, right? Let me show you. First thing that you can do, you can take a input type as file. So let me show you in HTML only. So what you need to do, you need to create a input type as file. First thing, whenever you are keeping a input type as file, you will get this kind of section. Just choose a file. Now you can choose a file here and same file will be uploaded here, right? Second way, you can just design this particular part for drag and drop, like in this way. Let's say I have a file here. So if I'm dragging this file and dropping here, you will see that it is uploaded. So this is a simple drag and drop. You just need to design this input box, the drag and drop your file. That's it. You want to design this. So let me write it a simple style. I will write, and style I am writing to the input box, and I will write the designs in this way that its height is 300 pixel, its width is also 300 pixel, and you can show one placeholder value as well, that drag and drop your file. You can drag and drop your file. So if we have kept in this way, let's refresh. So wait. So now here what you have to do is you can hide this and keep a container here. Keep the input box inside that container along with a heading. Then drag and drop your file.